Thank you very much. And also thank you for the invitation. It's a great event and it is an honor to be here. As you mentioned, and also I think previously there was a discussion about PPAs and why PPAs are not picking up so quickly. I mean, I just want to share a small fraction of the PPA market and maybe highlight also from the off-taker's point of view, what are the key challenges and why is it so complicated to actually ramp up the PPA market in a new geography like Romania. Just about our company briefly, our new energy is a PPA and the renewables transaction advisory firm. We have been founded in 2017, and since then we closed more than 5 gigawatts of PPA transactions across Europe. As you can see in the map, we are active in almost all European PPA markets, and lately we have been also very actively looking into the Romanian market. And coming to the PPAs and what the financial and physical PPA structures are, I think in the earlier panel discussions and presentations, we have seen that virtual PPAs have been dominated the Romanian market this year. And obviously physical PPAs have been closed earlier, but I just want to highlight what the key differences between those two are. And of course, there are many shades of the two main types, but in the basic setup, a physical PPA structure is basically a direct connection between the generator and the off-taker, meaning that the generator is delivering the GOs and electricity to the off-taker, and an off-taker is paying the PPA price for that. That's a relatively easy structure for the generator because the off-taker is taking care about everything. And for the off-taker, it is a stronger green value because they can claim actually the renewable electricity as green easier, so there are no risks of greenwashing. And the off-taker obviously is matching the generator profile with their consumption profile. In a financial PPA world, there is no direct physical connection between the off-taker and the generator. So basically, the generator is selling the power to the power market. The off-taker is buying the power from the power market, not necessarily the same power. And there is just a CFD, so the PPA price contract for difference settled between the generator and an off-taker. And in most of the cases, the GOO flow between the generator and the off-taker takes place directly, so the generator is selling the GOOs to the off-taker. From the generator perspective, this is a good structure because this enables them to do cross-border PPAs, as we have seen in the Romanian market lately. And for the off-taker, this is also a beneficial structure because they don't necessarily need to set up physical capabilities in the country if they want to source PPA in the given country. But we will see in the next slide that this has also some disadvantages, both for the generator and for the off-taker. I think what physical and financial PPA differentiation is important, but also important to note that there are so-called multi-buyer PPAs that are also very important for boosting the PPA appetite and increasing the number of concluded PPAs in the market. And we see that growing in the Western European markets, and we believe, I mean, also in the CFD scheme earlier, it was mentioned that bigger projects are being actually applied for CFD. And we see that bigger project sizes are in the Romanian market predominant. So a multi-buyer PPA can also be the prevailing structure in Romania going forward to enable bigger projects to actually sign more PPA volumes. And very simple formulated multi-buyer PPA is where the generator is selling not only to one off-taker, but to multiple off-takers. Usually there is a trader or a balancing agent in between. But what it makes it very interesting that usually there is only one PPA contract concluded. And this PPA contract has exactly the same terms. We have seen some multi-buyer PPAs where there were multiple contracts, so with the multiple off-takers, but in every case, the same commercial terms and same contractual terms. And it has advantages because that obviously creates less effort for both the generator and off-taker to negotiate. So there are not many negotiations needed, but only one main one. Obviously, this enables smaller off-takers also to enter the market. So when the very big ones, the usual suspects are already exhausted in the market, the small and medium-sized customers can step in, and they can obviously pick up also PPA volumes, which generally boost the demand on PPAs. And this is also good for generators because they are not exposed to one single off-taker, so the credit risk exposure is also diversified. On the other hand, we also need to note that obviously there are multiple elements in such a multi-buyer PPA that needs to be harmonized, and that makes also the PPA negotiation process usually long and cumbersome. One is, for example, that there might be an interdependency between those PPAs, meaning that if one off-taker falls out of the PPA structure, the other off-takers are picking up the residual volume, which has been taken by that defaulted off-taker. And that makes actually the harmonization between the off-takers very important. We also see that sometimes off-takers are having different needs, so it's difficult to actually harmonize those between all of the off-takers. And obviously, not every off-taker has the same credit risk profile. Therefore, it also needs to be managed by the generator as well. But why are multi-buyer PPAs interesting, and what is actually what does it help for the PPA market to boost? When a corporate is buying a PPA, they always have the dilemma, especially those corporates that have locations in many countries and consumption in many countries. Should I do a physical PPA, or should I do rather a virtual cross-border PPA? And actually, of course, there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Therefore, the complexity actually arises. But I think there are ways where the corporates can maneuver and can actually step in the market if they want to. In a cross-border PPA, in a virtual PPA, again, which we have seen in Romania, we see that it's very competitive because, as the previous panel also mentioned, you can sell lots of volumes in different countries. So basically, you have the ability to sell volumes outside of the country of generation, and that would also decrease the transaction complexity because it can be sold via one contract. If the off-taker has different consumption profiles in the different countries, a virtual PPA helps also because it's not so sensitive to these consumption changes. And there is the possibility for the off-taker to go for cheaper markets. We have seen in Spain, but we see in also other markets where an off-taker is taking actually the lowest priced market in Europe. On the other hand, we need to also admit that either for the generator or for the off-taker, a virtual PPA is not a perfect hedge. So someone needs to take the residual risk, the basis risk, and it's always up for the negotiating partners who is actually taking that in the end. Sometimes it's even shared. In a financial PPA structure, important that quite often there are IFRS implications, both for the generator and sometimes even for the off-taker, that needs to be tackled. And there is also, if one off-taker is taking a cross-border PPA where they actually cover all their consumption in the different countries, they have the concentration risk. So if that one big project defaults, then they have a default under all their PPA contracts. And of course, it depends which industry and which consumer we are talking about, but sometimes cross-border PPAs are not being acknowledged as real PPAs. So there are some greenwashing risks that are coming from the cross-border PPAs. On the other hand, the multiple or the local physical PPAs don't have this risk because these are actually the high-quality PPAs. They are more effective hedging tools. So basically, you don't have the basis risk if you are actually managing that in the given country. And they are also a better risk management tool for the supplier because they can spread the risk over more assets. So it's not only one asset that is usually being contracted, but multiple assets. And theoretically, also financial PPAs could be done by direct PPAs in a given country, but we see that it's usually physical PPAs which are being done by that. And there is, of course, a flip side of the coin for physical PPAs as well, because it's usually multiple negotiations needed. So it's not only one negotiation. And that gives also weaker position for the off-taker to negotiate, because, I mean, they have smaller volumes and they are not negotiating across multiple countries, just one. And that's why the effort is also significant. They need to put in single negotiations, and sometimes they need to conclude multiple contracts. That takes a lot of time and energy. And also later they need to manage more contracts. But just to conclude on a positive note, and what we see is also becoming a trend, and maybe also helps the Romanian market to pick up going forward, that there are a lot of corporates that are teaming up with other corporates that are interested in similar profile and have similar risk profile, and they can team up for a multi-buyer PPA in a local market, and they can actually step up as a significant demand in that country. And Romania is not an exception out of that, and we believe that that is going to come. It's also a potential possibility. Here in the room, there are also international developers, not only active in Romania, but in many other countries, that if the off-taker and the developer is teaming up, they can do PPAs not only in one country, but in several countries, physical local PPAs. And these are also helping the PPA demand to boost and also simplify the negotiation, because the partners are knowing each other. And if basically none of the two really matches, we always recommend to clients, both the generators but also the off-takers, to try to find a PPA in the given country of generation and only do cross-border PPAs for smaller residual volumes, which they cannot find and cannot hedge in the given country of generation. And that's just the conclusion. We are happy to discuss this further, and that was just a small snapshot and appetizer for the PPA world, because we believe that the Romanian market is going through the same evolution as the Western European market. So those trends which we have seen in Western Europe 2-3 years ago are going to come very soon in Romania as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Imre. So we can conclude basically that is preference at this moment to sign financial PPAs rather than physical PPAs?
I think it definitely helps the market to develop. On the other hand, and there is no one-size-fits-all solution, it has risks depending on what the PPA includes for both parties potentially. So over time, when the market is settled, we see also in Western Europe more and more physical PPAs are being concluded. That's the kind of evolution, and that's what we expect a bit in Romania as well.